Hello and welcome back. This is David from the Personal Finance Squad. We just finished section 2.3, tracking bills with a credit card. We learned the inflows and outflows of money of credit cards can be very dangerous because they are tracked in a separate ledger, if you will, which means you have to track back to your ledger. Hence, we are in the budget maintenance chapter. So now our next piece is section 2.4, managing bill due dates. Here's a key point. You heard this many times in life. What's on paper is not what really occurs when practicing it, right? What we're saying here is that Jasper needs to look at the money that he has coming out on the bill dates that he has. So we've added this due date column. And when establishing a budget, this is certainly very important. If you have a budget already, you should be pretty well versed in knowing when money comes out, or you can find out pretty easily. So if we take a quick peek down here, start marking off, we can see that 8-1 is a common theme here. Now, we should also understand that this non-applicable section here is stuff that doesn't necessarily have a due date. Like a membership may not be, these items in here could almost be considered supplement. All these other supplements or / other, which really goes into the supplement, or it could go into some other accounts. They don't have to have necessarily a due date. So what you really need to work with are the expenses that you know are going to be coming out every month. So if we go down a little bit further here, we do a little bit of math. And we see that in Jasper's case, we have $1,974 due in bills. And they're due on 8/1. Now his take-home pay for the first check is $2,239. So feasibly speaking, he'll have some money left over. But what if he goes out and uses money in his spending account? The whole point is he's leaving himself with very little to work with. So what we want to point out here is, for terms of this exercise, that Jasper's budget is taken from the premise that it is created from scratch. However, it's important to note that when starting a budget, some of the upfront cash flow may be required to take away money slated for savings, like we've talked about, savings vehicles, in order to have enough cash flow to pay for expenses. So again, if you're just starting out a budget, hopefully you have some money saved so you can have a little padding. And if you're already in budgeting, hopefully you have some money once you reconfigure your budget to, again, have some money to handle the flow of cash. That's what this is all about, is management. Now what's important here, which we mentioned a little earlier in our exercises, it's really important to know when bills are really due. So for example, here's the mortgage scenario. Mortgage payments in your statement will always say that they're due on the first of the month. But in reality, they're not considered late until the 16th of each month. So you could tell them to automatically take money out for that mortgage payment from your bank account and any of those days from 1 through 15. So that's $861 just on its own in Jasper's budget. And that's 31.4% of his total bills. So that can lead you to say, well, maybe I could have a bill taken out on the 15th, but maybe I can have a lot of my other bills changed later than that. So let's take an example of childcare. Now we see that the statement says the due date is February 2nd, but then you'll see this. And most statements you get from any business that wants money from you, you'll see that this spot right here, late fee after, or something to that effect. When is it going to be considered late? So in this case, Jasper could say, you know what, I'm going to have mine paid on the 11th and my mortgage on the 15th. And then maybe he can manipulate his other bills. That's the other thing. There's oftentimes you can have your bills set up to be paid at certain dates. So, you have to work with what you're given. If you have a car payment, that's going to be an established date because it's fixed. But again, there is abilities to move your numbers around. And you have to go check those out if you're already in flight right now so you can have the right cash flow. So by performing this analysis that we just went through, the idea again is to leave some breathing room for Jasper to maintain cash flow. So here's another little piece. We have supplemental and savings vehicles. They total $1,040. So really, if you took $2,735 from his total bills and took off 1,040, you have 1,695. So it's about flexibility and it's about cash flow. So thank you for joining, and we will see you in the next section.